This is Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall. CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, we started with this question today. Read Christian Dubé in his Facebook missive over the weekend asking Quebecers, please look at the good, not the bad, as far as our healthcare system is concerned, rather. I can't remember the last time a health minister actually went ahead and did this, but then again, maybe I have a shorter memory. What did you make of this?
I got to tell you, I got worried, quite frankly, because normally when you're the Minister of Health, you say, you can put together a sort of Churchillian rallying cry saying, listen, we're going into the holidays. It's up to you. You blah, 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 blah. You've got to look after your neighbor, wear a mask, whatever. And perhaps say so in more dramatic and more awe-inspiring terms. This sounded, I don't know, like a little sort of pre-apologetic. It's like, if your plan's working so great, Mr. Dubé, why are you sort of like telling people to be patient or whatever? They've been quite patient. I mean, nobody's hanging it on Christian Dubé. The Quebec Healthcare Network has been a mess for decades. But the fact is, there is a perfect storm, a convergence, if you will, of various situations. I won't, we've been doing this every day, and I don't want to do it again. Just trust me when I tell you, Index Santé, as I speak to you guys right now, nearly every ER in Montreal is in the red. In other words, over 100%. Lakeshore and the Jewish are at more than 200% as we speak. So, but we know about this. This is happening every day. So, is this perhaps, preparing the crowd, managing expectations for perhaps not more bad news, but a longer wait before we see the end of the tunnel? It's very, very discouraging. But and to be fair, we're not necessarily alone in this. Last night, when it's announced that the Ontario healthcare system is essentially, dragooning people from the Red Cross because of their staff shortages, things are pretty grim. And the best you can do is try and lay low, and as I said, rather cynically, don't get sick, although you may have detected, I got hit this weekend. It's the flu. I had to test myself. I hope I'm getting over it. But you know what? 'Tis the season. In the same way that you guys are talking to Lori and it's like, oh, is it going to snow? Is it not going to snow? Is it going to be cold? People get sick around this time of year. And that's why we have flu shots, and that's why, basically, prior to COVID, the big debate was, should you go into work sick? I think we all know the answer to that now. But all that said, I find it a little concerning when the gentleman who is in charge of the single largest, budgeted government service is saying, you have to be patient with this. It's not going to happen overnight. Okay, that's fine. But as I say, if you're a parent and your kid's running a fever, if you're older and you just don't really feel well and you've never felt this unwell this way before, people are getting scared. I think people are becoming very, very concerned that if the trend continues this way, I'm not going to be able to get any service at all, even if I do wait God knows how many hours in an ER. As I say, there seems to be no silver lining here. And this was, I think, as a political move, and quite frankly, as a leadership move, I don't think it was a very good idea to do this. As I say, don't call a press conference if you don't have anything to say. But for God's sakes, don't go public and have an open letter and honestly describe the situation. That's very good. But please, if you're going to give me problems, give me a solution at the end of it, because right now we need all the solutions we can get.
I'm wondering, Jim, if you were struck also by the similarity to the messaging from what we heard from Bernard Drinville, the new education minister last week, who was also saying, hey, yeah, the system's not perfect. There's some problems, but we all dwell on the negative too much. There's a weird kind of condescending tone. I feel like a memo went out.
Well, no, that's the kind of thing that gets me angry. Because if you're telling me this is normal, get used to it, I'm very sorry. We didn't hire you for that.
Yeah.
Okay? We could basically hire a troop of chimpanzees who can sign a memo at the bottom and let the bureaucracy do the job. You're supposed to make things better. But to shrug and say this is just the way things are, I'm sorry. It's great to say the number one priority of Quebecers is healthcare. But if it's not a priority at all for this government or any other government, we've got a real problem here. And I think one of the canaries in the coal mine was even before COVID, even before we were talking about a labor shortage, a lot of medical personnel were getting the hell out of Quebec.
Yeah.
So this I think what we're seeing now is the manifestation of the result of that, of people looking at this saying, this is not working. We have a bureaucracy that basically exists to be a bureaucracy and no other reason. I mean, I don't know if you guys discussed this story of the nurse who got suspended for eating a toast.
No.
At a long-term care center.
For eating toast?
Didn't see that story.
It was a toast destined for one of the residents, but she was feeling dizzy. She didn't have time. She was crazy busy, and she says, "I was just, when you kind of feel woozy." So she had a toast with peanut butter on it. She got suspended.
And she got suspended.
This is the kind of management we're looking at here. You're telling me you need nurses. Okay, you're having toast. You're out.
Okay.
That's right. I said toast.
I just want to bring up one thing with respect to this whole Christian Dubé situation, then we'll move on. I find this interesting. This seems to me perfectly placed with respect to this government's decision to use social media early and often, although typically they're not these long sort of posts that he did, but this is what they do. This is like Francois Legault posting regularly on Twitter the new book he's reading. So they've decided this is the way to go for them.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. It's not certainly the CAC and Legault didn't pioneer this. But this is exactly how governments are beginning to have figured it out. Get ahead of the story, create your own narrative.
Right.
And I hate to say it, I don't say it with any joy in my heart, but in many cases on a social media platform like Facebook, especially if you're looking at an older demographic, you'll be reaching literally tens of thousands, if not millions more people than you would through mainstream media.
Yeah,
by the way, you don't have to answer any questions. You just type up what you want to have said, or someone type it up for you, and Bob's your uncle. By the way, you have staff who will moderate your page, so you don't have to worry about reading the comments because what? Because there are no comments.
Yeah, not as far as you're concerned. There won't be no comments there at all. All right, let me go real quickly here before we run out of time. So, Jim, it's happening. The blue line is finally getting those extensions, huh?
Was it? Guys, I couldn't tell this morning. Were they tears of laughter running down my cheek? Sentimental tears that after, and I'm sorry for the typo in my schedule line, it's not 32 years, it's 34 years after it was announced. And it's almost like, this could be like a Hallmark movie, because Blue Line announcements have been sort of like these touchstones over the course of my life. Over those 38 years, I've pretty well been covering most of those announcements, And like, the first one, my hair was black as night, and I was a happy young man. Look at me now. I'm just, wondering for the Blue Line. Oh, by the way, though, the other thing about the Blue Line, the call for tenders will go out. Mind you, it's going to be difficult to give an estimate when you don't know where in the hell it's going to go. Because why? Because we still haven't figured out where the REM is going to go on the eastern side of Montreal. So, God willing, years from now, if we're all of us still together, we'll be talking about the latest announcement for the Blue Line. And maybe at that point, it's just going to be like a floating train that doesn't need track.
Yeah. One day, the left hand and the right hand will both be attached to the same body.
I live for that day. But you know what? When they do, we're all out of work.
Well, there is that, yeah. I don't want to think that far ahead. Okay.
Let's not hold our breath. Are you feeling okay, though, Jim? Are you doing all right?
Oh, I'm, it's amazing. A healthy diet and tumbler after tumbler of vodka on ice. It's amazing how good you can feel.
Yeah, I hope that wasn't instead of the healthy diet. All right, James Mennie over at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
Adamant.